Hey there, just decided to really quickly make this video because I think that this concept is actually going to be really interesting, especially if champions like Kaisa, she's a rather unique champion, but nonetheless very important in the meta right now and most likely will stay that way unless Riot drastically changes the game. I think this is something that will be remain like relevant, mainly because I think this is one of the best ways that I've seen teams deal with Kaisa, and T1 does this very well. The first clues of this could actually be seen starting from here, where they immediately delete the stopwatch. You could clearly see the Herald is their objective right now. It should be. DK is making a mistake right now, camping on the bot side of the map. Even if they are indeed trying to go for tower to tower, it's very dangerous to do that against Rift Herald. If they commit too many members to this side, then they're immediately going to have to answer if they decide to drop it top or drop it mid. Anyway, aside from this mistake, it is still nonetheless relevant to see how T1 sets up this Herald. Mainly this ward right here is something that we should notice, and specifically Alistar's positioning, because he's not necessarily playing in the top bush, he's specifically playing in mid, and this position and the position that he takes right here and the ward that he does is not necessarily to start a fight, but to prevent Kaisa from getting into effective ranges, because one, they haven't gotten a really full confirmation that Canyon is not necessarily in the top side of the map, but from this point on, they know that they're seeding. But this is like basically like a teaser of what is happening a little bit later, which is when they decide to win big. And we could see it from here, where this is basically Kaisa is now like effectively 2 items. Um, and it would be of like DK's best interest to try to push his advantage. What Keria starts to do from here is that he starts from the top side of the map where he has the Jace to like push, make sure the Jace gets to pick up this wave, and then he scans the entire river, erases all of DK's vision, and then he starts to turn on his sweepers starting from the dot bush all the way, and then starts to make his way down towards a specific line that would typically be the safest way for ADs to join fights in the river. So this type of movement is especially relevant just because, one, it immediately puts a lot of pressure into Kaisa from approaching this size of the map, where now his jungler is positioned and his mid laner is positioned. If there is now supposed to be allegedly a fight that happens, then these two could guarantee that as long as they stay relatively hidden, then these two effectively have to play scared, and Jace gets to have way more agency despite there being two, just because the fact that like there's now guaranteed that there's a risk that these two people are just hiding there, and also the fact that Kaisa's advantage, which is inherently in the fact that she gets to join fights faster, gets nullified because now she's terrified of phase checking into this, and through the vision control he gets to ensure this. And with the benefit of that, he managed to get Kellen, which is a little bit of a bonus. But the real advantage starts here, which is a little bit to do with, first, the fact that they already had vision down here, so they know for a fact that there's no the two main pockets that that a lot of the champions will hide in are show that like they're not in the nearby area to help out mid, so they know that Kaisa is relatively isolated, and this play gets to be justified because of two things. One is because of these two wards that were initially used to set up to isolate Kaisa, but it is also being used to spotlight where exactly their DK members may be. They're definitely not in the proximity of mid lane, so Kaisa is immediately in danger. Another thing is that they know that Rakan is not here because he has just expended majority of his wards. It is 2 minutes and 48 seconds, and DK's best interest right now is to match the items that happen that has been met in the top lane and also in the mid lane, and to reconvene together to get the next objective, because this next dragon is heavily in their burden to capture. As a result, they're the one who needs to get the first initiative and then get the first setup, otherwise they're going to have a really hard time maintaining it. So with all that being said, you can't really call this you could call this a mistake by Deft, the fact that he should have played a little bit more careful when he has a little bit of vision. But this is also a very active case of T1 understanding what they must do to shut down a Kaisa that has been funneled a lot of gold in the earlier stages of the game, and to effectively shut them down which resulted in Xayah being far more fed, them taking down 2 towers, and solidifying the win in this game. So please keep on a lookout for these type of wards because I think this type of strategy will be more actively used. And if one were to take anything away from the first game, it should definitely be this concept.